Hello, everybody. C. Ray Brower here, and today I have Naomi Grebe with PMI Property Management, and we're going to learn about her, how she ended up in property management, how she takes care of her clients in property management, and that'll be coming up next. But first, I want you to all like, comment, and share. I know we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, and we're on Twitter. No matter where we are, please go ahead and like, comment, and share, and we will get started soon. And we are back. How's it going, Naomi?
Good. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. It's was kind of a little fiasco. We had a little misunderstanding about how we were going to meet, but it worked out okay. We got it going on. You're in your car, and I've had to do these podcasts from my car before too, so it's all good.
Yeah. We're problem solvers.
We are problem solvers. When there's a problem, just figure a way around it, because that's all the problem is a little bump in the road.
Yeah.
Well, let's start out with you're in property management, recently got into property management. I know from our interactions with B&I that you ended up in property management because you were kind of a gypsy, I guess would be the best way to put it, for a long time, and dealt with a lot of property managers. So go ahead and tell everybody the story about how you actually ended up where you're at.
Yeah, so because of my husband's job, we moved around the country for a lot of years, for about 12 actually. Our average time on location was 2 years, and we rented. But at the same time, like, we always knew we wanted to own properties. We wanted to invest in properties. His job was a high-level executive type of job, and so it was a thing where we were with people who figured out how to do good with their money and provide well and make their money work for them. So that was really important to us, and we spent a lot of time learning. But then we ended up in the Central Valley, and he ended up leaving that job, and our children love it here. So they've become adults here, and we realized this is home. And so we set about trying to figure out a way to take that experience that we've had as tenants, as people who were living in properties. We've had experiences with 6 different property management companies, maybe more, and there were very clearly defined companies that did better than others, as well as really understanding it from that investment side and wanting to make sure that investors have the money that they or have the return on investment that they should really be getting with their investment properties.
Right. That and when you're dealing with situations that aren't ideal with property managers or anything in life, it always helps when you have that perspective of how things are bad, so that you can work ways around how to make them better when you are in a different position. So that's a wonderful way to learn.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. We can do both. We can please both. It is about problem solving. Actually, a lot of the time, it's about really great service. It's about answering the phone. Those things are just really critical pieces to making sure that everybody's happy. And so that's always.
Yeah, exactly. That answering the phone, and I'm a big proponent of that. Although I think when me and you first met, I said, this will sit here. I may have to go ahead and silence it when something comes through, but I am a person that when I'm sitting with somebody, I'm going to be with them. And the only way to get hold of me is call me 3 times in a row, right on top of each other, and then I know it's an emergency. Although there's hardly ever an emergency in real estate, but sometimes there can be an emergency at home.
Yeah, there's probably more often emergencies in property management than in real estate. But yes, you are correct.
Yeah, exactly. When the hot water heater broke, when the washing machine is got water and suds everywhere, that's kind of an emergency. Yes.
Yeah, everybody's always worried about the toilets. Toilets very rarely overflow. Although I will say, as a tenant, I actually had that happen one time. A toilet overflowed from upstairs and ended up soaking the entire kitchen. So I've actually had the tenant toilet overflow experience.
That is not one you want to have.
No, that wasn't fun. But I mean, the property management company was great, so they took great care of us.
That's good. That's good. Got it taken care of. Got
Yeah.
did was it bad enough that you had to actually leave the property for a while, or it wasn't quite
No,
that bad?
no, everything was just wet, and they had to do like if I remember correctly, I just remember they took really good care of us, but I don't remember what they had to do. But we didn't have to move out or anything.
Well, that's good. That's good
Yeah.
because oftentimes with a big leak like that, sometimes there's enough
Yeah.
that you actually have to. I actually have a listing coming up in Lodi, that their air conditioning unit is in the attic. And
Mm.
the drain valve of the drain hole got plugged, and they were running the air conditioner, and a whole bunch of water came down, and they had to rip out a ton of sheetrock and what have you. So they are actually out of the house because the one of the owners has got a really bad allergy to just about everything in the world.
Oh, oh, yeah.
She can't be in with the dust from the insulation and dust from the attic and all that. So they're living in their camper right now, waiting
Yeah.
for the contractors to get finished up. So yeah, yep. So property management's a really kind of dynamic field, and I know that you're doing both residential and commercial.
Yeah.
What kind of things do you see happening in the um, commercial market as far as property management that people might be interested in?
Well, commercial is kind of an interesting area right now because of COVID. So many buildings are empty and things like that. So what I really see happening is I see buildings changing purpose. I think that's going to be something. Housing is at an all-time low, or yeah, that's probably a good way to say it. We need more homes for people to live in,
Oh
and
boy.
yeah, and we have a lot of empty commercial buildings. So what I personally would love to see is cities really looking at code, looking at things like that, and figuring out, um, you know, fun and delightful ways to change what doesn't work in a city and turn it into prosperous and thriving communities where people have options to live in a beautiful city culture, but still have access to outdoor spaces and things like parks and things like that, where I think we could really beautify a lot of our cities here in the Central Valley if we were willing to be inventive with how we used those empty buildings. And
Very, very true.
commercial isn't going away either. So that's a
Right.
really important piece for us to keep in mind is like people still need office buildings. We still need warehouses. We actually need warehouses more than ever due to the way the online, like most of us shop online, things like that. So
Right.
so there's really some opportunity there, but I think it's about keeping eyes open and ears open and being creative with what we have already and how we can repurpose it or use it better.
Use it better. There you go. And I know that I've got a couple of investors that are looking for large buildings that they can convert into affordable housing.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
the main ones that they look for is like the shut down Kmart's and that sort of thing. That's got big building, lots of, uh, of the amenities that keep it cool and what have you, so that they could utilize those to cool affordable living apartments. Which sometimes the Kmart's aren't in the best place, but sometimes they're not bad. So
Yeah, and
you
it's
know,
like figuring out, okay, maybe this isn't in the best place, but how do we make that a like dynamic piece of this building so that people will like fight to live here instead of, being like, no, that's a bad idea. There's things that we can do. There's green space ideas and so many options that, I used to work for a company in my previous life where we had a lot of really amazing architectural panels and things like that could be lit and would create beautiful designs and stuff like that, where you can really, and then you add plants to that and it's beautiful at a very low cost in an urban setting. So I think that's a really fantastic way to look at these spaces, is how could we use it better?
Sure, absolutely, because those architectural panels, like you said, they are really amazing. I actually just saw a fence that the poles and the top rail was all metal, black metal, and the fence had the slats going this way, and it was hickory.
Oh,
except when you
wood.
Hickory is beautiful, beautiful wood.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, man, that fence had to cost $1 jillion, right? I mean, and went over and looked at it, and it was actually a panel.
Oh.
It was a panel. So printed out like hickory. I was just amazed. It looked so good, but real thin and serve the purpose that you want, to be private in your backyard, and had just I'd like to go in the backyard of that house to see what it looked like back there if they had both sides.
Yep, flip it over and the other side. It's fine.
Exactly. Oh, Lord. But you are enjoying your career in property management?
Yes, very much.
That's good. What would you say is going to be the attribute that you have that's going to make you highly successful in the property management business?
So one of our family values is excellence. That's a thing that we always talk about, is you don't have to be perfect, but you do need to be excellent. And so I think that's a great quality to bring to the table, is that we're always, like, not just now when we're building the company, but also even when it's, by all human standards, successful and long-standing. We want it to be a company that's always seeking to be better and to improve for our owners and for our tenants. So we really want it to be an agent, because we're an agent for both of those people, right? And so we can always talk about what it looks like to be an agent for our clients, and how important it is to work with integrity and to care well for people and to keep confidentiality, and all of those things. Those matter. And so we want to continually be seeking ways to be excellent at doing those things. There's things like accurate accounting. Like, we have a commitment to accurate accounting. I have a commitment to effective communication, to property manager availability. That's a thing. If my owners text me, I'm going to text them back right away. If they call me, I'm going to call them back right away. These things really, really matter in a world where that's not always the case. And so we want to make sure that we're that company that everybody knows they're going to get that top shelf service from us.
That is perfect. I love that, because unfortunately there is a lot going on that excellence is not the priority. The excellence is not there. And the fact that, like you said, you are actually the agent for both the tenant as well as the owner.
Yeah.
And making sure that both sides feel taken care of, feel that you are actually working in their best interest, not in the other side, which I remember back when I rented, I often felt that way, that when I called the property manager for a problem, it was like, we'll get to it. We'll, whatever. It is what it is, kind of thing,
And so that can really affect long-term lease. The goal for an investment property owner is to have long-term leases, right? Every time you have a tenant move out, it costs money. Every time you have And so the goal is really, if you have a good paying tenant, to take good care of them, to have a property management company that takes good care of them and communicates effectively with folks so that your tenant stays there for a long time. And
Yep.
so that's really a critical thing that I think owners should be looking for, is a property management company that, answers their phone for them and takes good care of them, but also does the same thing for the tenants.
Right, because like you said, that make ready is not free. Make
Right.
ready is not free. You have to make it ready every time, and if they've been in there 5 years, the make ready is more, but not proportionally more than what it would be for a year. And
right. Annual return of investment properties, and I have a few tools that are really great. Maybe I could touch on those for owners.
Sure.
One thing that I do that I'm always happy to run for, even for real estate agents, I love running these for real estate agents because it makes you look awesome, is a report called, it's a rental analysis report. It's 6 pages. It gives you comparables for rentals in the area and what they are and what they've leased for. It's very easy for me to run, and people can always just send me an email or a text and ask for one of those. I'm more than happy to do that for whoever needs one. And so that's a great way to keep your eye on the market. I always tell people it's a starting place for the conversation, not an ending place. And then the other thing that I can do is I can help you sit down and map out, like, what repairs does this property need this year, what expenses, and then what does it cost to have me on board managing the property for you. And then I can map out for you, like, what your whole year's income is going to be when you look at this property and look at whether it's a good return on value for you. So I'm always going to be present in conversations with owners to try to help them maximize their investment.
That's great. I mean, that is something that is extremely valuable because most people don't truly understand the economics of a rental property.
Yeah.
My payments $1,800 a month, and I'm renting it for $2,600 a month. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
You may not be doing good if you're not have the reserve for those other things, and if the tenants aren't taking care of it, property manager doesn't care, which you don't, and we're not talking about you, but
yeah.
Unfortunately,
property management company doesn't care.
exactly. Call Naomi because she will hook you up like a tow truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So the analysis, where do you start with that analysis? If somebody was to call you and say, "Hey, I've got 123 Main Street and I've got it rented for this, and this is my mortgage," do you actually go out and look at the property, or you just ask questions to fill out that questionnaire so that you've got a starting point?
So I actually start with the address. This report is automated. It pulls information from several different places, several different sources. And I always tell people it's the beginning place for the conversation, not the ending place. So sometimes we'll look at this report and we'll take it into account, but we'll price differently. But a lot of times when we look at this report, I have found very consistently that properties rent out pretty close to what it says. Last year, we could go like $200-$300 more per month. This year, it's pretty close to spot on. And it looks at comparables for the last 6 months or so. One thing that's kind of fun to do is go back through and look up those addresses and see if you can find pictures. That helps you kind of dial in on what your price should be. But and I usually verify the information, like square footage, 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, whatever the numbers are. I try to verify those and make sure they're right, because changing those numbers actually makes a very big difference in the report.
A huge difference, yeah.
So it's a really great tool for me to just send somebody, and then they have data about the area as well. It talks about vacancy rates and things like that. It's really cool. It's fun to look at, and to be, like I said, begin that conversation about what the property might rent for.
Very, very cool.
One piece that the owners tend to like to do is price higher. I mean, they're a property owner. They want to get as much as possible. But a thing that they tend to do is hedge on the side. They look too hard at that per month number. So, like, I'll have people be like, "Well, I really wanted $2,600 a month, not $2,500 a month for this piece of property." Well, that might take you, 4 weeks instead of 2 weeks to rent. So we got to run those numbers for the whole year, because if it takes you too long to rent, you have just completely lost that money for the year and you're never going to get it back.
Right.
And if you look at that long term, like, then every year when you renew a lease and raise the price by 3% to 10%, somewhere in that range, depending on the market, well, you're doing it, 2 months later instead of 2 months earlier. Like, those things add up over the life of your investment property. So really being objective and not getting hooked on that monthly number, that's the thing that I'm here for. I'm here to help you be objective as an investor, as a owner, and really try to keep dialing in on that long-term goal of owning that piece of California gold.
It's great. That's great. That is definitely the way that you need to look at things, is on the long-term end, not that short-sighted side. One thing that I was kind of shocked. A good friend of mine has a property that's he's got Section 8 in there, and I was amazed at the amount that Section 8 allows for homes in some areas here in Stockton. I mean, this is over in 95212, and I went, really?
Mm-hmm.
That much?
Yeah. And Section 8 is interesting because a lot of people associate that with, like, you don't want Section 8 in your rental property or whatever. But just to provide a different perspective on that, that's state money, government money, whichever, and they have guidelines to keep that. So if they don't take good care of the property, if they don't pay for their half or their third or their quarter, whatever amount, if they don't follow those exact rules, if you walk through the property and they've destroyed it, they lose that money. And so keeping that in mind and sort of looking at that Section 8 objectively, it might be the best option to get your property to be a Section 8 housing. And then you have very consistent income from that. And you have tenants that take really good care of the property.
Right. Because, like you said, it's kind of got that stigma.
It does, but
yeah, because in the old days, it wasn't that way, and Section 8 they were run down, they were beat up. There was no standard for the landlord to take care of it or the tenant. I know now that, definitely there is that standard, and they go in. It's yearly, isn't it? Annually that Section 8 goes through and inspects the property, or is it biannually?
Yeah. So I don't actually have any yet, to be honest. I have some people that are looking at them, and so that's actually on my very short list to do, is to go home and be like, how do I make this house Section 8 house? Because I think it would be fantastic to have one, and I love the accountability, and I love the fact that gives people options. People should have nice homes to live in, like homes that are functional and habitable, and that's going to be something that is always going to give people a leg up in life. And so let's make that happen.
Yeah, exactly. It isn't, and a lot of people think that Section 8 means that they're paying, we're paying all of it. We're paying for their house, but it isn't. It's assistance. It helps them. Like you said, sometimes it's half, sometimes it's a quarter, sometimes they pay 3/4 of the rent. It is dependent upon the size of their family and their income and all of that. It's a sliding scale, and most people don't realize that.
Well, and Housing First, in the state of, and we could go down a whole rabbit trail of homelessness and things like that, but Housing First is a real, one of the pieces that will help us fix these problems. So I think that it's worthwhile for investors to at least look at it and figure out a way to get on those lists, because it's really hard to find. Sometimes for tenants, it's really hard to find houses that are Section 8 approved. So I'm excited to keep building that portfolio for us and working towards being a great option where they could call me and be like, hey, I need a house, and I have them available for them.
Have some available that are either vacant and ready or coming up soon.
Or coming, yeah, because people stop. Like, if you think about it, a lot of times people do know 3 months in advance that they're going to be, they need to move. And so having a lot, what is coming can be really helpful to assisting people with their search.
Yeah, exactly. Well, your role at PMI is going to be quite diverse as you go into all these different things. How do you see your company actually growing, and are you going to end up with agents below you where you're managing and got your whole team that actually strives for excellence just like you?
That is the goal, always. Yeah. So we, the sky's the limit. We cover a really big area right now. We cover Modesto, Tracy, and Stockton and surrounding areas. And we actually have the capability to go up into the mountains, to go up into Sonora and Murphy's, et cetera, up there. And so we really want to work towards having property managers in location so we can divide our doors by location and have excellence at every single one. And create a place that's a great place to work with really great culture as well. That's a huge goal for us, is to have people who love working for us.
There you go. If you can be a good boss, it's always nice.
Yeah.
So you say Modesto, Tracy, Stockton, and surrounding areas. So you're San Joaquin and Stanislaus County right now?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay. And planning on taking like Calaveras, Tuolumne?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those two. So those two. So actually, at this point in time, we can do all 4 of those counties.
Okay. So, you just don't have anything up there yet.
Not yet. I have a second agent that just joined the team, and they're looking at expanding out in the Sonora area and up in there. So we're on track for that to happen this year. Actually, we just need to, we need some owners to call us and tell us they have properties up there that they need managed, and we're going to be all over it. So
very cool.
And I'm looking forward to that, because people have called me already. Multiple potential tenants have called and asked if we have any property up there. So I think that's going to be a really dynamic, fun place to expand to.
Very cool. Yeah. The foothills is a very cool place up there. And unfortunately, there is not a lot of places that are available that have a good property manager. There are definitely a lot of rentals up there. I was kind of amazed at our last meeting when you were presenting. You can share the number of actual homeowners, the percentage of homeowners. I missed that question because I thought it was a lot higher percentage.
Yeah. So the number that I have is, I think it was 82.35 or something like that of people who rent in the state of California. And the thing that's so fascinating about that number, I think, is how probably different it is depending on the location. So I think I can't find, I've looked and I can't find really direct statistics for our area specifically. And if I maybe dialed in my searches a little bit further, maybe I would. Where'd we go? Are we good?
You blacked out. I can hear you, just can't see you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep, I can hear you. We just lost audio, video. Are you still with me? Can you hear me? Nope. It looks like we lost Naomi. I will get her contact information and put it in all the places where we are.
I can't hear you.
we are broadcasting this, and I will get you her information. So if you have any questions about property management, you'll be able to reach out to Naomi and get those quotes from her. Everybody go out and be the sunshine in somebody's rainy day. Remember to like, comment, and share on all the platforms to help us raise up in the ratings and get more people out there seeing what we're doing right now. Everybody remember C-Ray to find your perfect home, and we'll see you all again real soon. Thank you so much.